It's a teenage love story gone terribly wrong. Two girls fighting over one boy to the death.
Rachel, she's being stabbed! Call 911 now! Wait.
Months of rivalry end in a deadly rumble.
Get off me! She's not gonna make it.
18-year-old Sarah Luderman is stabbed to death by 19-year-old Rachel Wade. Rachel is found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to 27 years in prison. Rachel says she acted in self-defense, but witnesses say it was deliberate. She was carrying a knife. How did a teenage love story reach this dramatic breaking point? Is Rachel simply a young woman who acted in self-defense? Or is there more to this story than meets the eye? From her prison in Florida, Rachel will tell me her side of the story. I'm Candice DeLong. As an FBI agent, I worked on the front line for the world's most powerful law enforcement agency. I went undercover, I trailed terrorists, and I interviewed notorious killers. It's my job to understand the people who others cannot comprehend. April 14th, 2009. Pinellas Park, Florida. After months of rivalry over a boy, Rachel Wade stabs Sarah Ludeman twice. One blow punctures Sarah's heart, and she dies within hours. There's no disputing that it was Rachel Wade holding the knife that night. It was a feud that started in cyberspace, but ended in the real world. Alarmingly, girl-on-girl assault is rising all over America. But homicide among females remains a rare crime. Often the home environment is to blame. Could that have been the reason Rachel ended up here at the Lowell Annex in Florida? She's here for the next 24 years, and I'm here to find out Rachel's side of the story.
Let's go back. What was life like for you? Let's start with your parents. If you could describe your parents' marriage with one word only, what would that word be?
Happy.
They were happy?
Yes.
Was there any violence in your house?
No.
But at the age of 15, Rachel does something quite alarming.
One night you had a verbal fight, argument with your mom, and you pulled a knife. What was going on with that?
I was actually cooking, helping her cook dinner one night, and I ran in the bathroom with the knife. It was never pulled on her, anything like that.
Okay. What were you going to do with the knife in the bathroom?
I don't know. I guess I was just reacting like I'd seen some of my friends react, and just, I guess, more trying to get attention or trying to get my way with her than anything.
This kind of attention-seeking behavior during Rachel's rebellious teen years isn't that unusual. The question is, can the family get through this phase safely?
Life was pretty smooth for until you got into your teen years.
Yeah.
And then you became, some would say, a wild child.
Yeah.
What went on? What was going on when you were 14, 15?
I was running from my parents because they were trying to look out for me, but I didn't see it that way.
Okay. You felt
kind of trapped, like I couldn't do, I just wanted to be like everybody else and do what everybody else did.
Rachel comes across as a normal teenage kid. She puts on a tough persona for me, but deep down, I think she's nervous.
So you described yourself as kind of a wild child. What did that do for you? That persona being like that?
I guess I felt like I was having fun. I was able to go do the things I wanted to do. I really didn't listen to anything my parents told me.
Rachel says her relationship with her parents got worse until finally they went to counseling.
What effect did that have, if any?
It showed me that as much as I thought I hated my parents, I really did need them, and they were looking out for the best.
Okay.
Counseling works for Rachel, and her relationship with her parents improves. By age 18, she gets a job as a waitress and moves into her own place. Things are looking up until Rachel falls in love with a boy who would change her life forever.
How did he treat you?
In the beginning, we had a lot of fun, and then it slowly but surely started getting out of hand.
Pinellas Park, Florida. Rachel has just moved into her own place and is working as a waitress. She has money and is happy to be independent. Her new boyfriend is 19-year-old Josh, who she knows from elementary school. As teenagers, they meet up again.
Did you fall in love with him?
I don't know, it just I think it kind of just hit both of us that we found an attraction in each other, and we had known each other for so long that it was like, okay, you know, we'll try this more than anything.
How did he treat you?
In the beginning, we had a lot of fun. We go to the beach and stuff. We always just had fun, and then it slowly but surely started getting out of hand.
What Rachel doesn't know is that Josh is also having fun with someone else, 18-year-old Sarah Luderman.
When did you first hear the name Sarah Luderman?
I know that they had dated beforehand. I think he'd mentioned that he had just broke up with her. Other than that, I didn't know anything about her.
You and Joshua became an item after?
Yes.
Afterwards, okay.
From what I knew.
Both girls use social networking websites, and it isn't long before they find out about each other.
These social networking sites, what role did that play in this, what unfolded in this horrible story?
It helped it escalate because she would constantly post pictures of them together or something. And I mean, I didn't know if they were old or if they were recent.
Having a feud like this on the internet just adds fuel to the fire. It's out in public for the entire world to see.
What did that feel like?
I was embarrassed. I always had people telling me, you know, leave the situation, he's no good, you know, look at this, and it was embarrassing.
Do you think that the tension between you and Sarah would have been so intense had it not been, these social networking sites not existed?
I don't think it would have escalated nearly as much.
Okay.
The girls go at each other in cyberspace. Having a fight on the internet is much easier than having a real-life confrontation. But soon, the online fight spills into the real world. On one occasion, the police are called when Sarah and her friends spray silly string over Rachel's car. According to Rachel, Sarah also showed up at her place of work to taunt her.
Sarah was in the same boat you were, though. She's in love with Josh. She's involved in this conflict. Did you feel like maybe Josh was using the two of you?
I knew that he was with each one of us for a reason. I had my own place and my own car and my own money and everything, and I was very independent, so I think that he used me for that, if anything.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
And you and Sarah were doing one heck of a tango there.
Detectives stated that Sarah made threats toward Rachel on voicemail. It doesn't take long for Rachel to retaliate.
Seriously, I told you to watch your back and not chill with him. Now your ass is mine, and I'm guaranteeing you I'm no murder you.
Telling someone, though, you're going to kill them, those are pretty severe words. Do you recall what you were feeling?
When I said it, I think I had been drinking that night, so I think that it just came out of anger.
Okay, all right.
I never intended on following through with the threat.
But over the next 8 months, things would get out of control. One girl ends up in prison, the other dead.
What happened next?
I made sure that they saw the knife.
Teenagers Rachel Wade and Sarah Ludeman are both dating the same boy, and neither one of them wants to give him up.
You're dating Josh, she's dating Josh, you're both in love with them, and there's this Romeo and Juliet family fighting kind of thing going on. How long did this kind of activity go on?
For about a year to 8 months.
So almost from the beginning of meeting her.
Yeah. And it slowly but surely started getting out of hand.
April 14th, 2009, the rivalry between the two girls reaches its peak. According to Rachel, she is being taunted in her own home.
Let's talk about the night of the murder. What happened, in your words?
I decided to leave my apartment because I heard honking and screaming.
All right. See you soon. Thanks.
Rachel believes Sarah is harassing her, so she goes to a friend's house. She brings a steak knife with her. Next, she checks in with Josh, hoping to see him.
Okay, wasn't Josh with Sarah that night before the murder?
From what I found out later on, yeah.
And he was texting you, and
He was
what
texting
was he
me.
saying?
I guess he thought he was gonna send her home at a certain time and just get her to, like, I don't know, satisfy her by spending a little bit of time with her and saying he has nothing else to do. And then he was saying, well, around the same time he wanted to send her home, he wanted to come over to my house and spend the night. And when I said no, he got upset, and we kind of went back and forth. And the only thing that I could think may have, if she had seen it, would have upset her. I texted him at one point, and I said, do you love me? He said he didn't know. I said, do you love her? He said, I don't know. I said, well, this is why I'm not doing this anymore. Just stick with her.
When Rachel arrives at her friend's house, she shows them the steak knife.
You said to them you had a knife and you were going to kill Sarah. Is that true
I did
or
not say I was going to kill her, but I did say I had a knife because I explained to them that I came over because Sarah had been harassing me outside of my apartment, trying to get me to come outside, so I was trying to avoid it. Well, they told me not to bring the knife out, that it wasn't necessary, I didn't need it. They didn't think she'd find me.
Just before midnight, Sarah leaves Josh, but she doesn't go home. She has two other girls in the car with her when she sees a friend who tells her her rival Rachel is close by.
Can we pull over? Yeah, let's go.
Sarah goes looking for Rachel.
All of a sudden, Sarah pulled up, swerved onto the street real fast, barely stopped.
Why didn't you go inside, get in your car?
By the time that I had even seen who it was, I didn't know whose car it was or anything. She slammed on her brakes, jumped out. Her door was left open. She walked around the front door and came ready to fight.
When you say ready to fight, what do you mean by that?
She had her hands up like she was
Show
ready
me.
to attack me. She just had her hands up and she was cussing, yelling at me.
What happened next?
I made sure that they saw the knife.
What do you mean you made sure they
I
had it?
just
Show
held
me
it
what you did.
outwards so that they would see that I had it. And my thinking was they would be maybe intimidated or scared, you know. And instead, it seemed like she came after me more. I remember Sarah hitting me a couple times.
Where did she hit you? Where
In
did...
the head, she grabbed me by my hair and had my head downward, like almost between my legs to where I couldn't really see. And I remember flailing my arms. Right afterwards, I just started flailing my arms back.
And you had a knife in your hand?
Yes.
You brought a knife to a fist fight?
Yes.
And what happened?
I ended up stabbing her. I didn't know until later.
You stabbed her one time?
I think it was one cut, like an actual cut, and
Okay.
one actual wound.
Okay,
Yes.
so twice.
In just a few short moments, months of teenage rivalry are over.
People say you black out when you fight. I've never really been the type to fight, so I don't know. But I don't specifically remember stabbing her. I do remember standing up, seeing blood on the knife in my hand. Once I saw the blood, I didn't really know what to think. I didn't see where it was coming from. I knew it wasn't coming from me, so I just kind of panicked. I didn't know what to do.
2 witnesses call 911.
We have someone on the floor that's been stabbed. We need an ambulance ASAP. They're fighting. You gotta hurry up and get here, quick.
Okay, what happened?
He stabbed her.
Okay, where on the body?
She's bleeding. Is she alive?
Okay, where on the body is the patient
She's
stabbed?
up in the chest.
The ambulance arrives within minutes, and paramedics try to save Sarah's life.
You still got the knife. Then what did you do?
I ran in the front yard. I ended up throwing the knife on the neighbor's roof. Well, I aimed it in their backyard, but it ended up on the roof.
And why did you do that?
To just get rid of the knife, period, because I didn't know what had happened, how severe it was, or what was gonna happen.
Rachel would soon find out just how severe Sarah's injuries were.
I wish we would have sat down and talked and figured out that we were worth more.
But it's too late for words. Pinellas Park, Florida. Months of teenage rivalry over a boy has just culminated in 19-year-old Rachel Wade stabbing 18-year-old Sarah Luderman. Rachel is taken to the police station.
When did you learn that Sarah had passed away?
Hours after it happened, I agreed to go to the police station. They came in and put me in an interrogation room.
The next piece of information that you need to know is that she is dead.
Oh my God.
She died as a result of these stab wounds that she had.
This is truly a tragic story. One young life taken and another lost.
Has Josh stood by you?
No, we don't speak. I have nothing.
Have you ever spoken to Josh since that night?
No, I have nothing to say to him either. I don't wish to.
How do you feel about that?
Used.
Used.
I felt like everything that everybody had ever said to me, I should have just listened to because he used me for whatever he could.
Rachel, is there something, you've had a lot of time to think about this, is there something, or was there something in you that led you to that horrible moment?
I always looked for the best in people that was not there and always held on to people that I should have just let go.
Why do you think you did that?
I have no idea. I really don't. I did the complete opposite of what I was taught. I don't know why.
Found guilty of second-degree murder, Rachel Wade is sentenced to 27 years. By the time she gets out, Rachel will have been behind bars longer than she has been alive today.
How do you feel about the 27-year sentence you got?
I'm okay with the fact that I'm here because I know what happened was wrong. Whether I meant to do it or not, it was wrong. And I helped it escalate.
How do you feel about the inescapable fact that Sarah's dead because of you?
Awful. I think about it every single day.
Rachel has hardened herself to these events, but we shouldn't misconstrue that as a lack of feeling.
I'd like you to imagine that I'm Sarah Luderman. What would you like to say to me?
I wish we would have sat down and talked and figured out that we were worth more and just walked away from him or confronted him even with the situation before we confronted each other.
In today's society, social networking appears to be the ultimate communication tool. But in this case, a life was lost for the want of a good old-fashioned chat.
What would you like to say to Sarah's family?
just one day I hope that they could forgive me and see that there was two sides to it. And I mean, I didn't go after her. I did what I could to avoid it.
Rachel stands by her self-defense argument, but accepts there is a price to pay for her crime.
There are millions of women watching this show. And many of them are young, your age that you were when this horrible thing happened. If you could give them one piece of advice, what would it be?
To value themselves and never settle for anything less than what they deserve, and never participate in any of this, because it's just, none of it's worth it. Violence is not worth it at all. Just, it doesn't lead anywhere good.
Rachel realizes this too late.
Thank you so much for sitting down and sharing your story.
You're welcome.
That's the thing about the teenage mind. Acting on impulse can have terrible consequences. I've seen this so often in troubled teens. And the thing that can help them the most? Communication. Real communication. If only they had talked face to face, maybe they wouldn't be facing evil.